thank you for joining us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuluko. May 27 is Children's Day in Nigeria. We like to call it Youth Day because that way you can accommodate those who would not ordinarily want to be described or addressed as children. You know what I mean? So, ordinarily, our episode at the end of May should have been dedicated to the youths of Nigeria. But it's not easy on this job. It's not easy amidst the avalanche of reports and stories jostling for attention, jostling to be served to you, our dear viewers. They call it editorial judgment in this business. The 19th Annual Tax Conference had just taken place in Abuja, Ogun State, and we didn't want the story to get stale. So we had to serve you the story of that 19th Annual Tax Conference in 2 episodes. So today, we are honoring the youths of Nigeria. At the same 19th Annual Tax Conference, the second edition of the Higher Institutions Tax Quiz, the tax quiz competition organized by the CITN, took place. So today, we are going to serve you excerpts from that National Higher Institutions Tax Quiz, plus visits by 2 delegations of youths to the youth-friendly Federal Inland Revenue Service, of course, headed by the youth-friendly Mr. Batunde Fowler. I am Olumuyiwa Matuluko, and the program is Tax Matters. In the morning of Thursday, the 18th of May, 12 schools gathered together for the second edition of the National Tax Quiz Competition organized by the CITN. At the end of that grueling morning session, 5 universities and 1 polytechnic emerged as winners for the next round, which took place in the evening of the same day. Because of time constraints, we'll only bring you highlights, excerpts from that competition.
Under the Personal Income Tax Act, Cap P8 LFN 2004, what is the period of assessment for income tax purposes? A, 12 months from 1st of April. B, 12 months from 1st of January.
12 months from 1st of January.
12 months from 1st of January is the correct answer. How is the legislation currently regulating companies' income tax in Nigeria captioned? A, Companies Income Tax Act 1990 as amended. B,
Option D.
That is the correct answer. Which government agency is responsible for the administration of the Value Added Tax Act in Nigeria? A, Federal Inland Revenue Service. B, A, Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Yes.
That is correct. Which of the following is an attribute of a good tax system? A, universality. B, directability.
Effectability.
D is incorrect. A, universality is the correct answer. Which of the following is not a capital allowance? A, annual allowance. B, personal allowance.
B, personal allowance.
B, personal allowance is the correct answer. So we move on quickly to the next section.
Question 6.
Under the Companies Income Tax Act, penultimate year computation is peculiar to A, commencement of business. E, dissolution of partnership.
Cessation of business.
C, cessation of business is the correct answer. So, with this, we've come to the end of the second round. At the end of both rounds, okay, these are the scores.
3 universities, Nasarawa State University, the University of Lagos, and the University of Ilorin, moved on to the next round of the competition.
So for the remaining 3 contestants, you will be taking a round of 1 question each, okay?
Question 20.
What is the capital gains tax rate on the gains resulting from the disposal of a personal dwelling house? A, 20%. E, nil.
Nil.
Nil is the correct answer. Government-owned enterprises. A, pay taxes as at when due. B, pay only pay as you earn on the employee's income.
B.
That is correct.
Question 16.
What is the time limit under double taxation agreements for claiming an allowance by way of credit after the end of the financial year? A, 6 months. B, 3 years.
3 years.
That is incorrect. C, 2 years is the correct answer.
That effectively put the University of Ilorin in the third place, leaving the University of Lagos and Nasarawa State University to jostle for the second and first places.
Question 9.
Question 9. The assessable profit of a company accessible to tax under the Petroleum Profit Tax Act is the A, chargeable profits, E, adjusted profit of the period before adjusting for the effect of any loss relief available to the company.
Profit after relief of capital allowance.
That is incorrect. B, adjusted profits of the period after adjusting for the effect of any loss relief available to the company is the correct answer. 14. Which of the following tasks cannot be performed using an electronic spreadsheet? A, planning worksheet objectives. B, display information visually. C, A, planning worksheet objectives.
Yes.
That is the correct answer.
Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up.
With that, the University of Lagos emerged winner. Great Akokite, great! We congratulate the University of Lagos, my alma mater, and we commend the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria for this great initiative. Investing in young ones is a very wise investment indeed. We recall that the same CITN has endowed a professorial chair in taxation at the Babcock University in Ileshan-Remo, Ogun State. We also recall that in the month of March 2017, at the 137th meeting of the Joint Tax Board, the JTB hosted the National Tax Debate, which involved students from universities across Nigeria. Of course, the father of them all is the Federal Inland Revenue Service, which is not only part and parcel of the CITN, part and parcel of the Joint Tax Board, but in the forefront in both funding and organization of anything tax in Nigeria. In the month of April and then in the month of May, Mr. Batunde Fala, Executive Chairman of the FRS, ably assisted by top officials of the service, played host to 2 groups of young men and women eager to learn taxation. First to call at Revenue House in Abuja was a group of students from the Department of Economics and Accounting at the Nigerian Defense Academy. Welcoming the dashing young men and women to Revenue House, the Executive Chairman, FRS, gave an overview of the mandate of the FRS.
Nigeria as a country, prior to the oil boom, relied on agriculture, and we had very, very small budgets. And what's the essence of the budget? The budget for any country puts together all the revenue and expenditure profiles. And any country basically has to provide certain things for its populace. Your role, basically, if I'm right, is to make sure that there's peace and harmony, both within, if need be, and without our borders. And for that, money is required. But at the same time, the government has to provide things like healthcare, education, infrastructure, to make sure that things work properly. The role of the FIRS is to generate money that is distributed between the 3 tiers of government. Our target is to get the non-oil revenue to 8%. At 8%, even if we find ourselves in a situation where we can't sell oil at a profit, the country will still move forward.
And these final thoughts.
For any country to provide the type of infrastructure or the environment that anyone would desire, you require revenue, you require money. And the only real sustainable source of that revenue is through taxation. Meaning that every employed individual, every operating company that makes a profit has to put aside a certain amount for government to use to ensure that all things work.
Why did the visitors come to Revenue House?
The NDA, apart from military training, we are going deeply into academic, especially, now the different can qualify as a military. We want the fun, wording, learning, and character.
Thereafter followed an interactive session at which the boarding soldiers displayed an uncommon eagerness to learn.
What is the FIRS doing to curb the menace of illegal revenue collection?
I want to understand if it is more profitable to generate income from taxes than from oil and agricultural products.
I'd like to know how far the FIRS has gone in the area of sensitization of the public on the need for payment of tax.
You spoke about illegal revenue collection. It has been a major concern for FIRS. Now, what the Joint Tax Board has done is that we have publicized all the legal taxes that can be collected, who can collect them. So it's clearly divided between the federal government, state governments, and local governments. We've also provided phone numbers that people can call. So we try to advise taxpayers that if anyone comes to, first of all, the tax official, we all have ID cards. They should be able to confirm who we are and also confirm that the assessment is correct. And we had a lot of people who used to mount roadblocks and say they were asking for advertisement tax or all types of taxes. And we were able to get the police to join us. And we advertised that no revenue officer should be on the road trying to collect any tax or they'll be arrested. So we've tried in our own way to try and limit the number of these illegal revenue agents. But we also try and tell the taxpaying public that if they go to the tax station and do what is required, they'll have evidence to show that they pay their taxes. And if any tax official comes with a bill that does not seem to make sense, they have the right to object and also contact any of our offices, whether it's a state tax or a federal tax, and we'll come to their support. The next question was that whether it's more profitable to focus on tax revenue than oil revenue. In terms of absolute amounts to start with, you can generate more revenue from non-oil than oil. Then secondly, when you generate tax revenue from taxes, it's more sustainable. You can plan with it, you can project your budget on it. Now, in terms of who accounts for the revenue, if I got the question right, FIRS, we do not control the accounts where the revenue is maintained, which improves the level of transparency. So all our tax revenue is kept in the central bank. It is managed by the Ministry of Finance. And we also have the Office of the Auditor General who comes to check our books. And then we also have House committees. There's a Finance Committee in the House of Representatives. There's also a Finance Committee in the Senate. And currently, we even have an ad hoc committee looking into the revenue generated by FIRS. We have tried our best to try and send out, first of all, the need to pay taxes, how to pay taxes across various forms of media. We'll have a comic book on taxation. We do sponsor debates, both at secondary school and university level. There was a debate on taxation held about a month ago in Ilorin. And I think University of Ife came first and University of Lagos came second. So that children, when I say the youth, understand the need to pay tax.
The hosts and the guests exchange gifts.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS calls on all corporate organizations operating in Nigeria to register for the purpose of payment of taxes and obtain a tax identification number TIN. All registered companies must obtain a tax identification number immediately from the nearest FIRS office. You can also collect and return tax registration forms from the Federal Inland Revenue Service Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams, FEAT, on compliance checks exercise in your area. A company which is yet to commence business after at least 6 months of incorporation must pay a pre-operational levy of 20,000 naira in the first year and 25,000 naira for subsequent years to obtain its tax clearance certificate TCC. Note that filing and payment of VAT and withholding tax returns must be done on or before the 21st day of every month. Register for VAT. File all tax returns as and at when due. Be a responsible corporate citizen of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
I want to know the aims and objectives or mission and vision of this FIRS.
Our vision to deliver quality service to taxpayers in partnership with other stakeholders and make taxation the pivot of national development. Our mission to operate a transparent and efficient tax system that optimizes tax revenue collection and voluntary compliance.
That again was the executive chairman of the FIRS, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, welcoming yet another group of young ones to Revenue House in Abuja. This time, members of the Gombe State chapter of the Nigerian Universities Accounting Students Association, NUASA, who came visiting on the 16th of May 2017. Mr. Fowler gave the young ones the privilege of being the first to know about a recent breakthrough of the FIRS.
This is something that I think only 2 or 3 members of our management have seen, so you'll be the next person to see it even before the others see it. And we're just having a small celebration. We have been working on technology to improve the level of transparency and accountability. And a lot of people pay taxes. Some pay directly through the bank. At the state level, some people pay cash. But at FIRS, we insist that you pay your taxes or any payment to government through a bank. And sometimes when people pay through the bank, they wait for their receipts for weeks, months, and sometimes the official receipt doesn't even come. We have now deployed technology to ensure that the moment you make a payment, whether you ask for a receipt or not, it's emailed to you. This is the receipts that you get. So any taxpayer who makes a payment to FIRS, we have also indicated and received approval from the Federal Executive Council on a voluntary asset and income declaration scheme, VADES, which means that those individuals who are not in the tax net and corporate organizations can come forward and will not charge them interest and penalty on outstanding taxes. Basically, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we leave behind a brighter future for your generation.
The young accounting students sought clarification on some issues.
We've made mention of various tax laws here, and tax laws and their implementation in Nigeria. So at times they will make the law, but they will not pay it.
And there are penalties for not paying tax, and which are insignificant. Like if a company cannot pay its tax within the stipulated time, you will see that they will only be charged for the penalties 5,000, which is insignificant. Is there any provision for reviewing that law?
How do you intend to reach the rural areas? And most of them don't have smartphones. They don't know how to use the email. They don't know how to surf the internet. So I don't know how you intend to reach those people in the rural areas.
I want to know what form of internal control measures is the FIRS putting towards covering the issue of fraudulent practices, or let's say issue of other issues associated with illegal maybe tax clearance at the lower level and other issues like that.
What are the measures taken by the Federal Inland Revenue Service in order to tackle the issue of those people that are not paying their taxes and yet they are making their operations successfully?
Why is it that the tax used to fluctuate? In this year it will add 2% or 1%, and next year it will deduct to the percentage will decrease.
Thank God I'm here. I want to know, is it true that 85% of the 85% of the income generated from FIRS is paid by petroleum companies?
I'll start from the last and I'll go up. There are different rates of taxes to be paid, but in the petroleum sector, the level of tax, the tax rate is 85%. Why the tax revenue fluctuates? First of all, on a monthly basis, the amount of revenue collected fluctuates, meaning goes up and down based on the timing. For corporate organizations, they are expected to pay their taxes 6 months maximum after the year end, after the accounts have been audited, and they're usually allowed a self-assessment. So companies whose year end is in June are expected to pay by December. Companies whose year end is in September are expected to pay by March, and companies whose year end is in December are expected to pay by June. Now, the majority of corporate organizations have December 31st as their year end. So you find out that the following year, by May, June, the FRS collects sometimes up to about 35% of the annual revenue in 1 month. Now, in terms of actual revenue, it also fluctuates based on the oil price, which is a major indicator. In terms of the internal controls that we have to stop illegal receipts, illegal tax client certificates, is what I just demonstrated to you now. All revenue collected by us is paid into designated banks, and they're hooked up to our system. And so the moment that amount is cleared into our account, this receipt is sent automatically. The same with tax clearance certificates. What you see happening right now are handwritten tax clearance certificates. But we have a system in place now whereby it will be electronic. So even the chairman can't even help anybody. It will be sent electronic, and it is based on clearance at various levels. We also had a situation whereby you can have what we call a nil or a zero tax clearance certificate. If you make no profits, you're not doing any business, for 3 years, you can have on the tax paid column 000, but you can still use that certificate to apply for contracts. Now, if that is going to happen, it'll have to come to my office for approval. In terms of the rural areas, how do we reach out to them? We do have a system whereby we advertise in all languages, major languages. And we have a team called FIT, which is the Federal Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Teams, and they go around all parts of the country to educate taxpayers on the need to pay tax, what kind of tax to pay, and also to register them.
On penalties for infractions?
Penalties for not paying tax may seem very light, and they are very light. What we have done at the federal level is to use the authority given to us by law to close down those companies from operating. Because the interest and the penalty for some companies is actually better. It makes more economic sense for them not to pay us taxes and to pay interest. And it's cheaper than borrowing money from the bank. So they just hold on to it. So we take the option of closing them down and stopping them from doing business.
Leader of the Gombe State University Students Delegation was full of appreciation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this powerful presentation. I am 100% positive that it has impacted more knowledge to us. It is truly a privilege to receive this vital presentation from you firsthand. We are highly honored, and at least in the cost taxation in class will be more and more interesting.
Alhaji Salisu Alkali is patron of the Gombe State chapter of NOASA.
The National Association of Accounting Students is an association that I've been involved in since 2008. And I have been their patron because I have seen the interest these young people have in taxation. I started when I was the chairman, Board of Internal Revenue in Gombe State, when they came on a courtesy call, and I saw the enthusiasm. They really wanted to be involved in taxation. So therefore, they asked me whether I can be their own patron, and I willingly accepted. And since then, you can see, they came all the way from Gombe to come and see the father of taxation in Africa not only in Nigeria, in Africa, and also facilitation in Nigeria, because they want to hear from him, they want to see, so that they will take home something in their mind, so that when they go back to their school, they will now say they have come to the chairman Federal Revenue Service, they have had, and that will go along with it in encouraging them to study taxation. They are all happy they've come, so we expect that when they go back home now, they will now inform their own colleagues, not only the association came, but the whole university committee. They have come, they have seen, and they will now publicize.
We are convinced that the two groups of young ones from the NDA and the Gombe State University had pleasant experiences at the Federal Revenue Service. It is pleasant experiences like this that groom debaters and quiz experts like you witnessed at the beginning of the program. We are also convinced that you had a pleasant experience watching today's episode of Tax Matters. If that is so, let's do this again next week, same station, same day of the week, same time of the day. Have a blessed week ahead, and Ramadan Kareem to our Muslim compatriots. Bye.